We got a warning tonight from TBI. There's been a growing threat of financial sextortion, specifically targeting children and teens. Our Lydia Fielder is with us in the studio right now. Let's make sure parents know what they need to know here tonight.
Well, first of all, financial sextortion is a type of online blackmail. It's when a predator threatens to release material to a victim's friends, family, or employer, unless that victim sends the predator sexually explicit photos or videos. Last year alone, these statistics are so alarming here. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received more than 50,000 reports of financially motivated sextortion. That is an average of 137 reports a day, and a big increase from the more than 36,000 reports received in 2024. Here in Tennessee, we're looking at our state. The TBI says they're trying to identify and locate more than 150 child victims. It is also important to know that predators are changing how they target victims. Many are acting quicker by moving their conversations to private messaging and encrypted apps, which then makes it harder to detect and trace these crimes. The TBI says the biggest and strongest defense that you can have against these financial sextortion cases for your children and family is education. Parents need to talk to their kids about it. And every child should know two things. If it happens, one, tell a trusted adult as soon as you can, and two, never pay or cooperate with a blackmailer. If a child is a victim of financial sextortion, you can report it to your local police department and submit a tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's website. That is report.cybertip.org. Jeremy.